What are you doing today? What's
We're going to make a bezel so that we can set a ruby. So,
Oh, we're live already.
yeah. I think it's
Rotate your
working.
device. You can't turn while live. Oh. Okay, go ahead.
Hey guys, so today I'm going to show you how to make a bezel. Because I know a lot of you guys use bezels, and it's really a pain to sit with and try to use bezel wire and wrap them. That method is kind of hobby craft, but professionals don't do that. They
There's
don't.
only one person on, so.
That's okay. They can.
Okay,
Eventually, people will catch up. They can watch the video. But the
First, Brianna's not going to be going live. Her dog is sick, and she's having to care for the dog. So you get to see Kevin.
Yep.
Kevin's the dog you get today.
I'm the flavor of the day. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to make a bezel that you will die strike. The benefit of hand wrapping bezels, you can wrap any size you want, but they look they're thin and they're just not, and if you make them thick, then it's really difficult to bend them around. So to make nice, heavy, thick looking bezels, most of the time you never see people showing you, but I'm going to show you how to do it. So you don't even need to use a die. A die just makes it easier. But what most professionals would do, this is how you would take your stone and a thick piece of silver or gold, big old chunk of it, and you would set your stone there, and you would hog out the middle, and then you would saw the bezel out. That way it doesn't have a weld seam in it, and it would be nice and thick. But that's kind of tough. That's a lot of work. So if you're going to make something over and over, or you're going to use a standard calibrated size stone, making a little die at your bench that'll last you the rest of your life, well, that's a pretty good way to go. So I'm going to show you how to do it. What we're going to do, we're going to make this. This is a bezel. It's just a hole, but I've made a flat bottom in it. Let me show you what it looks like. So whenever you want to see what your die looks like, so that, you know, I want to show you guys something. So imagine I want to get that design out. If I just take my silly putty and stick it on top, we don't get the depth of it. You just get that little bump. And that is the same thing when you go to put a piece of silver and try to plow it into there. You're not going to get anything. You're just fighting yourself. But if you do this, make a little point. Now look, we got the shape. So that tells us the size of our stone and everything like that, or of the bezel.
Show it again, because I couldn't really
Okay.
videotape. I didn't
So
know
let me
what
show
were
you.
doing.
If there's anything you learned from me today, this is the most important thing with any sort of die striking. And no matter how many times I tell people not to do this, they do it, and they're fighting themselves. And you can tell the people who understand the concept and those who don't, because the ones who don't understand it have zero success, and they just keep repeating it over and over and over. So imagine you want to press this in. So some of you are thinking, oh, I'll just set this piece of silver on top and I will hit this with my press. Well, nothing's going to happen. You'll dent your die is what you'll do. And you're just fighting yourself. This isn't going to do anything. Watch, even with clay, even with silly putty, if I just take and flatten out my silly putty out and I just go like this and I push hard, what do I got? I got just a little divot. But if I do this, now look, we got the entire image. So that's why when I show you guys how to do shot dies, I don't just take that. We make a point. So I'll have to make you guys could even make one. You guys could make a shot die. I'm going to show you guys how to do that today too.
For those that are just joining, he's showing how he's going to make a bezel today.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to make a bezel to hold that little ruby. So I'll show you how I made this. It literally took just a few minutes. So here we go. So what you're going to do, take your stone, set it down on the thing, on your steel, and now if you put your finger on it and you try to trace around it, you're going to struggle. It's going to be hard. If you got a pencil with an eraser on it, that's going to be awesome, but I obviously don't have one. So here's what I do. I just use something to hold it. And I trace around. So there's my shape. Next step, we're going to use a ball burr.
You want to hold it? Oh, sure. Okay, great. Yeah, it's done.
So get yourself
Oh, you got to hold it over so.
a nice little ball burr like this. Right here. Be sure and use some burr lube. You can use oil, wax, whatever you got. And watch this. We're just going to go very slowly and carve. Don't floor your handpiece. Do not floor the fordham. You'll burn up your bit. And don't force it. Just let the burr do the cutting. You don't want it to get super hot, because that'll destroy your bit. Keep putting lube on it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut beyond the edge of my line. Well, actually, I'm going to go till my line is completely wiped out, because that'll give me room for the metal. And if you wanted to use little, they sell, you know, little green templates, these little plastic things. All right, I gotta put my C-biggers on. I cannot see what I'm doing. You know, have you guys messed with these? You guys might like this. This is kind of fun. Then you could show them through the thing. So this is a super cheap should be easier than this. There it is. From Amazon. See, look at that. We've got amazing detail. So let's find my hole. Here we go. And you can probably watch on the screen. Alright, this is kind of annoying, but...
You gotta adjust focus.
Yeah, you can focus it. Wow.
That's working remarkably well.
Yeah. What do people think?
They like it.
And I'm cutting very lightly. Now you're going to make your bezel as deep as you need to make it. A lot of that's just going to go by eye and by feel. But I'll show you how you'll double check your progress. So let's take a look at our progress. Let me get my silly putty out. So remember, silly putty starts with a point, push it in. So you can see, there's the one. We have a rounded bottom because we're using a ball burr. Looks pretty good. Not bad. Let's keep going a little bit. As you can see, it doesn't take any time at all to do this. It really doesn't. And I bet you I could make a bezel die faster than you could make a bezel. Should we just focus? Should I move this thing? And we go back, instead of using the microscope, go back to this.
No, it's better.
What do the people think?
There hasn't been too many comments.
Oh.
Got 43 people watching now.
Oh. So as you can see, it doesn't take any time at all to do this. Alright, get a close-up of it. See, we've got a nice little hole. Next step, I gotta move this, but maybe we can get one that's got like a camera that attaches to it. Ooh, that's warm. Alright, the next thing you're gonna use...
They're asking what monitor that is.
I don't know. It's Coolertron, the cheapest, one of the cheapies you get from Amazon. So here's your next burr. This is an inverted cone burr. And this is so that you have a draft angle. If you make this vertical, if you make this bezel vertical, your silver is going to get stuck. And if you undercut, it's going to be wedged for life. So what you need to do, you got to make sure that it's called a draft angle. And the more draft you have, the easier it is to pull your metal out. If you go near vertical, you're going to get stuck. So here we go.
They're saying they like looking at the monitor.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're saying that you can see it better.
Alrighty then. The monitor it is. Man. Oh, I guess I had that thing all the way. Sorry about this, guys. Alright.
Perfect.
It's almost too strong. Well, I can't really get in there to...
Well, you can look through there or not.
Yeah.
Just try and keep it somewhat in the monitor. They're saying it's too grainy when I'm just focusing the phone on it.
Yeah. So, now what we're doing, we're going to make the walls vertical. And you don't need to go crazy. Sorry, I gotta hold it up like this. So you can see we're kind of getting a nice flat bottom to it. And can you guys just say yes or click like or something if you guys are understanding the concept of this?
You gotta remember there's about a 30-second, 45-second delay between the comments and the live feed. Getting a couple of yeses.
Yeah, this is enough of the Coolertron. So let me get up in here. There's some light. All right. So what I'm going to do, I'm making sure that my draft angle is correct. This isn't, you'll know real quick because your metal will get stuck. It's simple. These are really simple kind of dies that I know there's companies that sell bezel tools and all these things, and you'll find that it's never the right size. You'll buy this tool and it'll never be the right bezel. And then you're sitting there going, why did I buy this? Why did I spend hundreds of dollars on this thing? When I just needed to make my own. So I'm just kind of evening it up. My burr seems to be holding up okay. Put a little bead on it here. I'll be done here in a second and then we're going to press it. I want to get this thing oversized. You notice that I'm spinning it? That way I keep my draft angle.
So you're trying to keep your fingers at the right angle?
Yep. Okay. Alright, so here's what we'll do. So you can kind of check your work. We'll press in some silly putty. Hopefully this isn't so painfully boring to watch. Let me do a better press. Alright, there's our silly putty. So now we know exactly how large the bottom of that bezel is. And that's our stone. So I'm thinking that my bezel, let's actually set the stone in there. Let's see what it looks like. Not terrible. It's pretty good. Looks like there's enough meat around the edges and stuff. But so I want it to be just a hair thicker. So I'm just going to open it up a little bit. We're close. And if you were bored someday, you could sit down and just do this all day and make a whole series of them. For round stones, square stones, ovals, triangles.
This would be especially helpful if we have a lot of stones the same size to set. Would you do this for one stone?
Sure. Because why would you only make something once? We're in the die business. We make things over and over and over. If it's worth making once, it's worth making 100 times. Or at least until nobody wants one anymore. Ah, that's looking pretty good. I think we're going to go with this. The bigger the burr you use, the cleaner your cut. You can see where this one gets a little wobbly because it's kind of tiny.
Does it need to be heat treated after?
Nope. You do not need to heat treat it. Unless, of course, you plan on making 100,000 of them. And if you're making 100,000 of them, you probably wouldn't be watching this video. All right, here we go. We're gonna. Oh yeah, that's pretty sweet. Even that thing's a little bent, but it did a good job. So, next thing we're gonna do, I'm gonna actually make a divot to make the shot, okay? Because I'm gonna melt my metal, and I want my shot to be the right shape to go in that hole, okay? So, let's think about how we would do that. We want our shot to have a point at the bottom. So I'm thinking I'm going to attack it. First, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill a little hole with a ball burr, and then I'm going to oval it out with one of these. So let's do that. Let's go after it with our... You doing okay, Vincent?
Oh, yeah.
So we'll just do that all in this one block. So you guys can make your own shot. You don't even need to buy one from me. You could make it. You've got all the tools to do it. Keep lubing this thing really good as you bury it in there. And run pretty slow. See, when you're going slow, you can get some big old chips out. That's pretty good. Let's go a little deeper. Can you see it going in?
Not even you can see it going in, dude.
That's pretty good.
Your hands are the size of sausages.
I know. Alright, here we go. Going after it with this thing. Ooh, don't step on it when you're trying to open it up. Ooh.
I'm gonna try and get a good angle here.
See, we're making a nice opening. Let's go deeper. Let's try this.
Sound makes my teeth hurt.
Yeah. Alright. I want to make sure I get it pretty even here. That's good. Let's go do this. We're going to go melt this, and then we're going to just put it in our press and squeeze it. Okay? So, the biggest thing that we will struggle with is melting too much metal right away. We'll probably pour too much in the hole and make a mess. But let's give it a whirl. It's not going to take hardly any. Let's do it. You know what? Let's use my jeweler's torch. See if I can get it done with that. I'll sit right here at my bench. This is probably more along the lines of what you guys would have. So let's sit right here at the bench and do it. Our lizard half finished dreams. So here we go. We're gonna put in about that much. We're not going to use a whole bunch. I don't think it's going to take very much to fill that little divot. Okay? Now, if I spill hot metal in my lap, you guys can be sure and save the video. That'll be hilarious. You know, I wonder if I've got the cool, yeah, let's see if we can do it with this little tip. So we're going to get this stuff ripping hot. I don't know if this is going to do it. Oh, it's working.
Wow.
I feel kind of silly using this little cork, but that's alright. So there we go.
Can you melt it right into the hole, or do you have to use the crucible?
You gotta use a crucible. The metal is so big it would absorb all the heat. So we're gonna heat up our dye a little bit. You want to make sure you get the tip of the crucible hot. There we go.
You guys didn't see his little jump. He flinched.
I flinched. Yeah. I thought it was coming for me.
Do you need borax?
No, I got it in the crucible already. But if you didn't have any in your crucible, it might be a good idea. Alright, let's see what we got.
You might want to use it. That's going to need a chisel.
Yeah. Here, let me set this somewhere where it's not going to catch something on fire. Let's see. Let me slide in there, bud. Let's see if this thing's even hot now. I bet it's not even hot. Yeah, it's not even hot. Let's,
That's just because your fingers can't feel anything anymore.
I know.
I'm just messing with you.
It's alright. So let's pop this out of here. There it is. And it's...
Porosity.
Yeah, it's not too bad. It'll actually work.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to take and just clip off this edge using... If you guys ever... let's use the really cool pliers. Where are they? If you guys ever find a pair of these, you should grab them. God, somebody else took them. This is nuts. They're awesome. They're so awesome that people take them from me. Oh well. They're like the greatest nippers the world has ever seen. And they're beautiful. And they're missing. I got like 4 pairs too. So we'll have to saw this off. Freaking crazy. Maybe I'll just do this. I'm gonna make sure that no one touches my bench someday. Oh, this is massacred too. There we go.
Why would you not just pour it into the bezel mold and then press it?
Won't go in. You could try. It's worth a shot, I suppose. I was trying to show you guys because a lot of you guys want to do different kinds of shots. So, you know, that's why we made that little hole. Because I know I use one over here for a lot of stuff, and I saw people wanting to do that. You know what we can do? Let's just do it here on the anvil. Let me show you. Because some of you guys don't even have presses. So let's be accommodating. Let me get a big hammer. this is something that probably help people. So if you're going to hammer your shot into there, I see people just start wailing on their die. That's just crazy. Use a punch. And just start tapping it down, getting it going in there.
They're asking what the name of the clippers they're looking for are.
Starrett. They're made by Starrett. So we're starting to go in. A press sure is easier, but if you don't have one, this will do it. Yeah. You seen my Starrett clippers? Clippers? The side cuts, those big, I don't know where they went. I see those little ones there, those are clippers. Black and red handles. No. I can think of the wire cutters. Yeah, the wire cutters, the Starrett wire cutters. So, don't worry about it. So, we're going to anneal it because it's hard again. When I do this, I'm not even going to anneal it, or I mean cool it. We're going right in hot. No, don't worry about it.
Trying to help.
I know. I'm just frustrated. I have like 4 pair, and they're all missing. So there we go. Let's go pound it in. So this is how you would do a lot of different shots too, so that you're not just bashing the bejesus out of things. You can see that even with a good solid surface and a heavy hammer and a punch, shot dies still are not super easy. The biggest thing that people screw up with on shot dies is they don't leave enough metal. You've got to have enough metal to pry it out. Otherwise, that thing is stuck for life. Where is my chisel? Thanks, Vincent. I should just keep Vincent around all the time, just to find things for me. So, and also, when you're doing this, you got to make sure you don't stab yourself with your chisel. Oh. So, and out it comes.
That was graceful.
Yeah, so you can see we're getting there.
Here, hold it still. Give him the... Very nice.
The next push, I'm just going to do it with the press because we're in the press business. But you get the idea. If you really don't have a press and you want to do this, it's kind of a hassle. But let me anneal it one more time and then we're going for it. Normally, if we pressed it, we could have just done it in one shot. And you're probably thinking, the thing's going to be solid. This is going to be impossible. Well, I'll show you how to put a hole in it. And you're thinking, how's he going to hold that in his fingers? We're not. The die is going to hold it.
Ah.
Yeah. Let's go press this.
Let's do it.
We probably won't be able to find the... Hopefully we can have enough spacers. Oh, rubbish. I really do try to prepare for these things. You know what? I'm just going to do this one. I really try, but all our stuff. Yeah, you guys probably have like maybe one person in your shop. Imagine tons. So there it is. Let's go punch it out. Yeah, get yourself one of these chisels. These are great.
$69 people watching.
Watching the potential failure. So here, come on this side. So what this does, you're gonna keep your chisel flat against the die. Now I see people doing this. You're gonna run the chisel through your hand. Bunch of maniacs. Hold it up vertically. Hold it against it, and out it comes. Take a look. So there is our potential bezel. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to use this to hold it in there. But first I'm going to trim it. That's where I wanted to use my awesome, amazingly cool flush cutters, but
These?
those!
They were just sitting right there.
How did I not see these? Check these out, you guys. These are awesome. Compounding action. I used to use these when I would do repairs in the mall. Basically, it's like a lumberjack tool. I would just chop ring shanks. I wouldn't saw them because that took too long, and it would leave this nice little beveled edge that you could use to wedge them together. These are just the greatest thing ever. Don't try to buy them new because they're probably $1,000. Just try to find them used on eBay. And they have carbide teeth, so you can cut anything. So here we go. Let's just...
Wow.
Mine are kind of struggling right now. Somebody has... Check them out. They're not closing anymore. This is the problem. This, my friends, is the problem. Somebody used them. Okay. We will go back to sign. So, install the blade. And I don't know who thought it was a good idea to jam one into your chest, but it hurts, so don't. Just push it with your hand. That's better. There we go. I'm not going to take this thing right up to the edge. We're going to leave a lip.
Sorry if I'm in the way.
No, it's okay. Going around.
I'm leaving at 3? Okay. I mean, we really can't do any work because Adolfo's not here, so we
And you get to see an instant replay of how to put a saw blade in your saw. Again.
I'll just show him the engraving.
Oh yeah. That's pretty nice. That's by a real famous engraver who he made me promise to never tell anybody I did it, or that he did it for me. Because he usually gets big bucks. I groveled. Actually, he's got a saw too, and he engraved his saw too, so it was pretty cool.
Beautiful work.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm shocked at how accurate you are.
Oh, it's my one special skill.
They're saying those cutters about $500.
Oh, that's not too bad. I mean, it's a lot of money, but... And if you don't let people borrow them, like me, you won't be disappointed.
Ridiculous.
Alright, so I'm going to file this up a little bit to get it looking good. I know a lot of you guys aren't used to working with tiny pieces. That's kind of been my whole life, is just small jewelry. All right. So, where did I put my die? Did I lose it? Is it over on the thing? Oh, I did it.
Oh, okay.
So, here we go. We set our bezel back in the die, and it kind of acts as a holding tool. I'm going to take my file and level it off in the die.
More people begging for saws.
Oh yeah, I'm working on them. We actually, everything is over at the platers, where the dreams go to die. If you saw what goes on at the plating shop, you wouldn't leave anything there. But we don't have any choice, because that's the only way to get things plated. And yeah, you wouldn't leave anything at the platers, but I don't want to do it for a living, so I'm grateful that they're willing. So what I'm using here is called a safety file. I mean, I guess it's a relative term. It's smooth on the edge, so I'm not cutting into my die, and I'm not hurting my file, but I'm filing around it, making it a bezel. So, there's our nice little bezel. Pretty cool, huh?
Very cool.
Yeah. So, next step. You just finish flattening. Make sure it looks real good. And now, we're going to go after it with a ball burr. And we're going to set this stone.
I'm going to go on your other side.
Okay. Doing that. Let's see so, just tear right in. This is just like you'd be flat setting.
Is it okay to go back and forth when you're with your file?
Sure. I mean, it only cuts one direction, but you know.
And you shouldn't just like attack it like a crazy person. You need to file with a purpose.
Hey, you got that from me.
Good.
I always would basically yell at Vincent. File with a purpose. Don't just madly go after it. So, isn't this cool how this piece stays in there?
He says as
it falls out. Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely see the
So that's
the purpose.
there it is. It's in. And just keep holding it down a little bit. This sure is easier though than trying to hold it in my fingers. And it absorbs all the heat too, which is really nice. We have a ton of bezel dies, but they're never going to be the stone size you need. So it's kind of pointless to offer that kind of stuff. It's really important, you know, this kind of stuff here, if you find a stone shape you like and you buy the right size, you could make a bezel. And this would make a great pair of bezel set earrings. All kinds of nifty things. So, we're getting in there pretty good. I'm going to just start getting it. See, I launched it. This could be the end of the video, folks. Unless I can find it.
I think it went up here, right?
Oh, there it is. Good eye, Vincent.
Watched it happen.
Yes. So, see if we can get in there. I'm going to get in from the back. Punch through the back. You know, another good way to do this is to use your bench pin.
I was going to say, you could just grind into it.
No, you use your little holders. Those are pretty cool. Or your parallel pliers. Instead of just gutting it out like I am, I'm afraid to use too many tools because I don't want people to think they got to rush out and buy tools. Because you can let your tools get in the way. These are pretty sweet. So, here we go. They're almost like vice grips for jewelers. Now, you could also saw this out, but I'm more of a grinder kind of fella. A real goldsmith would have sawn this out. They'd have drilled a tiny little hole, and then they'd gone in with their saw, and then cut it. Let me show you how they would do that. I'm just a master of half-ass. Alright. So I'm going to go in with this little tiny burr to make my hole, and then I'm going to punch my saw blade through, and we'll saw it out. So we're not like barbarians here. Now, when you're doing this kind of stuff, don't poke your finger. It will hurt like the dickens. Because a ball burr right through your finger, oh boy. That's like crazy. That's crazy pain. Because it will just, it'll poke a hole. So here we go. I hope I made my hole big enough. There we go. So now,
wow.
Yes. So you can do it this way, or you can do it...
What's the name of these?
What? Oh, these?
Yeah.
They're made by a company called Bezel, made in Germany. I got these... I only found one place in the United States selling them. You can get them out of Germany. They're kind of expensive, but there's a tool store in Chicago on Jewelers Row that has them, and they don't. I can't remember the name of the company. It's just a small, like, upstairs kind of a tool store where they sell, like, you know, professional grade kind of tools. I don't know if Auto Fry carries them or not. So, here we go. We will use our awesome pliers.
What?
I kind of prefer to I'm just going to hold it with my fingers.
Say, what is your operation plan here?
Well, I prefer to hold things with my fingers than to use tools. I'm just used to it. And you can saw at an angle.
Oh my god.
Just kind of scoop out the interior.
This is a thing?
Yeah. It's called well, if back in the day when people actually made stuff by hand, they would saw out the whole interior of everything.
Wow.
And you just kind of work your way around. Before they had the flex shaft and the ball bow. Let me flip it, and I'll cut it from the back so people can see better. There we go. Incredible. Starting to grab. There you go.
Yeah, people are saying it's more like a file than a saw blade.
Yeah. No, exactly. You can use your saw as a file. I do that all the time. You can see how it works pretty good though. Get it cut out pretty fast. So we have our little oval. But that's one way of doing it. Now that we've got our hole, I'm going to go after it with my inverted cone burr because not necessarily in a hurry, but we don't want to be here all night. I want to get to the good part where I show you how to set a stone.
That's a hardcore bezel.
Yeah. We want to have a great looking bezel, not some wimpy little thin thing. So you can see we're getting there. It's starting to set down in there. And then you're wondering, how's he going to hold that bezel? We're going to hold it back in the die. And this, if you wanted to make a ring, see, if you want to make a ring with a bezel, to where this would be like the little center stone, you can't use a thin little bezel because it won't, the ring will collapse. It'll break, you know, it just doesn't work. So you got to make a heavy bezel. Alright, so we've got a nice looking little bezel here. And it gets easier once you've got your stone cut out. You want to cut your stone seat out. You kind of work from the middle out, because if you work from the outside in, you might run out of material. Don't ask me how I know that little trick. So, there we go. We're getting there. Let me get a ball burr and let's get this stone in the hole. This one's still sharp, amazingly. So I'm going to use my bezel block as my holder. And I'm going to go after it. It goes in that way. Hold it down. Frequently grab your stone. Now a good trick is to use silly putty or beeswax to pick up your stone. Come on.
Hmm.
Yeah. So you can see we still got a little more grinding to go. Not much though. I like to set them upside down like this. They look cool that way. But also, lets me tell where I need to cut. So I need to cut a little more off the top, up at the front. Come on. The exciting part's coming when I show you how to push the bezel down. All you gotta do is bear with me while we cut the seat. All right, take a look. Check it out. That's pretty good. So our stone is sitting
Very nice.
just below the surface, like so. Now I think it needs to go down just a bit more because I won't have enough room to cut back. So you can check this out. I'm pushing it here on the sides and here on the sides. So I know that I'm actually teetering off of the points at the ends. So we're going to cut a little bit off the ends and try to drop our stone down. Now if you overcut, it's a nightmare. You will be on the struggle bus trying to bezel set.
Sorry, I missed something. Did you just use a ball burr or also a setting burr?
Ball burr for everything. Setting burrs are for setting diamonds in prongs, not for this. But that's just how I do it. That's how I was taught. All right, so that looks pretty good. Try and get a little close up.
There we go. Yeah.
Going with a superpower. So you can see we've got a little bit of an edge. The stone is sitting below the height of the bezel. All right, next step. Now a lot of you are thinking he's going to break out his hammer handpiece. I'm going to do that hopefully I can avoid doing that. Hopefully I can set this entire thing. You know, it's a little loose. I overcut a little bit, but I like to use a burnisher like this. It's a point. It's literally a busted off burr that I sharpened. But before I hit this one, we're going to actually, this one is set up for setting little tiny diamonds. I'm going to actually take it down so it's not so sharp. Alright, the next thing you got to do, because it's got a sharp edge on it, you got to polish it. Otherwise you can take a chunk out of your stone. By using a really small burnisher, you can apply a whole bunch of force right on that edge. If you're using one of those big burnishers, I have no idea what they sell those big burnishers for. They call them bezel pushers and stuff. I think somebody's just trying to take your money. For some reason, I ended up with a bunch of them, but no one's there. I don't ever see anyone use one. I never bought one, but we end up with a lot of people's tools, and I got a bunch of those silly things. So we're just polishing this up so it's nice and smooth. Because what we're going to do, this is literally going to polish the silver as I press it down. So I got to kind of get in here tight, but I'll show you. So what you're going to do is you're going to come up with an angle like this. See how I'm angling it? And I'm just going to push. And we're going to do it over here. And you got to kind of work your way around because your stone is still loose. See how it's kind of walking around in there? So we will push and push. And we just kind of work our bezel down. It's essentially caving it in from the sidewall. At least that's my hope. But I'm afraid I probably overcut on this one, so we'll probably be going after this with a jackhammer to kind of beat it down. Come on. It's getting tight in there. Come on. Alright.
The fucking master.
Yes.
Shouldn't you solder it on first?
Solder it on?
The bezel onto the ring.
You should. But I didn't think anybody wanted to sit and watch me make a ring too. So I gotta use the little power hammer to make this thing go. So check out, we're gonna go after it with this, but I'm gonna shape it. I was using this as an engraving tool yesterday. Today, it's gonna be a jackhammer. So we'll just knock this beast down. So I continually make tools for every job. I don't buy these things, I just make them right here at the bench. So we got a nice flat. I can't believe that there's people selling bezel setting tools. It's just insane. So there was that. We just make them here. It's because I actually don't know of a single goldsmith. I've never met one who actually. So let's see if we can get in here. There it goes. Some of you guys might like to watch how these things work. Now, let me show you something that would be kind of cool to do. Let's get the right file. So if you file it at an angle, that's really hard with this thing in there like that. I'm trying to make it so you guys can see what I'm doing. I'm going to just pop it out of here, and I'm going to pre-shape my angle. There we go. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a 45-degree angle all the way around this so that my bezel rolls over real easily when we hit it with the hammer handpiece. You okay, Vincent?
Oh yeah, just off and on my feet, but I'm good.
So you're basically, any kind of jewelry making is just like trying to figure out the problem, because you know I screwed up by overcutting the bezel, but that's not the end of the world. We will just do it a little differently. The stone will still go into the hole. It's weird just talking at you guys.
Kate Richburg says this bezel would look great soldered on any pressing, such as brooch pins.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's even easier to make a round one. Just get the ball burr of the size of your stone and start plunging it in. Alright, here we go. I'm going to start hammering it in. So you can imagine trying to fab a bezel like this would be difficult. If you were to fabricate this by with sheet or something, it would be a struggle. So this is actually easier to do. And here we go.
Hello, Mitch.
Yeah. And we'll hold the stone down with our finger. And
notice how Kevin feels the metal with the file to see where to smooth it.
yeah, I got too many foot pedals. There it is. So you hold it down with your thumb. Here, go on this side. I'll try to make sure you can see what's going on. If I break the stone, it's Vincent's fault, because I'm literally flying blind here. I can't see. Oh, it's okay. They can watch the punch go right through the stone.
Okay.
I really gotta see. Let me get it started.
Yeah, no worries.
So this is what I'm doing. Just film the beads of sweat. Let me show you a cool trick too. Right now, I think that my pusher is almost too large. So I'm actually going to make it smaller so that it'll hit harder. The smaller you make your little hammer, the deeper it goes into your metal. So we're gonna take this down. Because I didn't feel like I was getting enough hammering action. Now, I took it down by about 50%.
This is really long as it comes in handy. I don't know, man. Just this would be too high up. You gotta really...
Why is my... Did I kill it? Oh, I didn't kill it. I didn't kill it. Gonna make it smaller. because it's still too broad. See how tiny I'm making my pusher? That's what we're going to hammer the bezel down with.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So it's in there?
Yeah, more or less. I'm a little bit lumpy on one side. Let me use a brass. So sometimes
Kevin is popular.
if your stone is a little bit crooked, you can if it's not like, don't do this with an amethyst or something, but like a sapphire or a ruby or a diamond, you can push it a little bit. Don't go crazy though. You'll massacre it. So then I'll show you how to make the bezel look beautiful.
Could you use the Lion Punch Forge engraving adapter on your Fordham hammer handpiece to engrave your mild steel, or would it ruin your handpiece?
I don't know. It'd probably work. Maybe. Give it a try. Okay. So now our stone is in. I'm going to come through here with my burnisher. We're looking like a million miles of bad road here. Burnish this down.
So what tiny file are you going to use to smooth it all out?
I'll pick one out in a minute. So we're using this. Kind of made a mess on this corner. I'm going to file it. Let me take it out of here. Never thought it'd be so difficult to set stones with an audience live with someone trying to take pictures the whole time. It's very difficult. There we go. Yeah. Alright, let me file this up, then we'll burnish it and finish it. Let me get a finer file. There we go. You don't want to run your file across the crown facets. That's bad. You can hurt your stone. Especially if it's a really expensive stone. Man, people get angry. So we're just kind of taking this thing down. So. It's funny, I've had people watch me set their stones before, just never
50 people at once.
50 people at once and someone 2 inches from me. As I try to
No
do
pressure
it.
there.
Well, no, this is really difficult to see what I'm doing when I was trying to set without seeing. Anyway. Let's drop her back in. There we go. Having a bezel holder like this is really handy for putting stones down. And you just kind of go along this and you can burnish your edge. And you can also, I like to come in with my graver and bright cut it. I really screwed up that one side of the bezel. When I couldn't see what I was doing, I stabbed it. But this is how you can straighten out your bezel after you've made it all lumpy from using a jackhammer. Anyway, that's about as far as we're going to take this. But you can see, you can go in there and cut it back with your graver. Remember, this is just freestone setting on YouTube or whatever, so take it for what it's worth. Anyway, mostly what I wanted to show you guys was this. How to make a bezel die. So you can do this with all kinds of different things. You guys could you could carve a little flower in here if you wanted to. That's not hard to do. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys.